You know that feeling when a huge game update drops. You open the patch notes, and it's just this massive wall of text.
Oh, yeah. Totally intimidating.
All that detail, right? And all you really want to know is, what's actually changing for me? What's the big deal here?
Absolutely. It's like the essential game knowledge is buried in there. You just need the crucial bits, the things that will actually impact how you play without wading through hours of dev speak.
Exactly. And that's our mission today. We've got the detailed patch notes for the June 5th, 2025 update in Black Desert. That's our source material for this deep dive, and we're going to unpack them for you.
Right. We're pulling out the most important changes, maybe some surprising tweaks, the stuff that really shifts things so you can get up to speed fast.
We're sifting through all the specifics to highlight, the strategy, the convenience, the new opportunities this update brings.
Think of us as your guides, kind of pointing out the landmarks in this new patch.
Okay, let's dive right in then. First up, events. They always seem to come with patches, right? Extra reasons to log in.
Yep. Right off the bat, you've got 3 running at the same time with this update. First is the daily accumulating attendance rewards.
Ah, the login rewards.
Pretty standard stuff, yeah.
Okay.
You log in each day, get rewards that add up. That one runs from June 5th through July 10th.
Okay, nice little bonus just for showing up. And then there's one for new or returning players.
Exactly. The new and returning adventurer attendance rewards. Now, this one's got a much longer duration. It goes from June 5th all the way to October 22nd.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, that long period kind of tells you it's meant as a serious boost, helping those players catch up and, get established.
That's a solid leg up for anyone jumping back in or starting fresh.
Yeah.
Good move. What's the third event?
That one's the Festival Emblem event. This is more tied to the immediate patch window. It runs from the June 5th maintenance right up until the June 26th maintenance.
Okay, so probably focused on specific things you do during that time to earn emblems.
Seems likely, yeah.
So plenty of extra goodies just for being active over the next few weeks, and even months for some players. Okay, moving from the freebies to the actual gameplay changes, the notes mention some class-specific tweaks.
Just a couple of cleanup items here, really. For the Dusa class, they added a clarification to the Blade Dance skill description.
Oh, what's the change?
It now specifically says that once you learn Mist of Dawn, you can only use Blade Dance from the skill window itself.
Ah, okay. Making sure the text matches how it actually works with that combo. Makes sense. What about Deadeye?
Deadeye saw a few small things. They fixed a wrong description for the Marnie's Gaze bullet effect on Raging Tides. Minor text fix.
Gotcha.
Also, the Conaloran's gift skill. They moved its location in the skill window, just put it in the Awakened Weapon tab. Better organization, I guess.
Okay.
And they slightly adjusted the height needed to trigger the falling motion when you use Conaloran's gift. You got to be a little higher up now for that specific animation.
All right, so minor description and sort of feel adjustments for those skills. Nothing earth-shattering there. What about general gameplay flow? Any quality of life stuff?
Yeah, a small one, but kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
The circle menu UI, the one that pops up when you hit the apostrophe key, maybe for switching weapons or whatever.
Yeah.
It appears faster now when you're fishing.
Oh. Quicker access when you're like multitasking by the water. Every little bit helps, I guess.
Definitely. And a more significant change for Solare's Gate, the 3v3 PvP content.
Great. What's happening there?
The battlefield itself is changing. They're moving it from Upper Holes to the ruins of Solnap.
Okay, new scenery.
But importantly, with that move, they've taken out some specific environmental things that were usually in the ruins of Sol area outside of Solare's Gate.
Like what? What's gone?
The water's coldness and fire's warmth effects, those are out for Solare's Gate matches there. And that moving object that used to be in the center, that's gone too.
Okay.
They also tweaked the Breath of the Spirit HP recovery thing inside Solare's Gate. Now, it only heals the player who actually breaks the object.
Ah, not the whole team.
Nope, just the one who destroys it.
Yeah.
And they fixed a bug where sometimes it could, apply twice.
So basically streamlining that specific map for competitive play. Fewer random environmental things, more controlled healing. Probably good for balance.
Seems like it, yeah.
Now, this next one sounds like a really big deal for convenience, especially with inventory.
Oh, this is huge.
Ooh.
If you use temporary buffs or event items a lot, listen up. The patch notes list a whole bunch of specific event items
Yeah.
that you can now use without having to stop and go into that waiting stance.
Wait, really? You mean I don't have to awkwardly stop running or fighting just to pop a food buff or some event consumable?
Exactly.
That's amazing. That's a huge flow improvement. What kind of items are we talking about? Give us some examples.
Well, the list is pretty long, but it includes things like Event Tuna Sandwich,
Mm.
the Event Simple Cron Meal, which is super popular for combat buffs,
Right, everyone uses those.
Event Four Leaf Clover, Event Sweet Candy Stick, Event MILF Tea, tons of others. It covers a really wide range of common event stuff and temporary consumables.
That is going to smooth things out so much for anyone using those during grinding or bosses or whatever. Fantastic change. And speaking of items, there's a new permanent version of something useful.
Yes, they're adding Marandora's Sweet Raw Sugar Lump.
Okay, sweet raw sugar lump. Sounds familiar.
It's basically a permanent version of a regular raw sugar lump, the item used for taming horses.
Ah, okay. So a permanent option for that saves inventory space maybe, or just hassle. How do you get this permanent one?
It ties into some existing content. You need to have Krogdalo's Trace first, either the knowledge or the item, as a prerequisite.
Right, the dream horse stuff.
Once you have that, you accept and finish a specific quest called Krogdalo's Trace, a sweet scent, which you actually get from Krogdalo's Trace itself.
Interesting. So they're building new permanent utility onto those existing progression paths.
Clever.
Okay, one last item note. A small change with the fairy's auto-use feature.
Right. Fairy's great hand. 3 specific event items got removed from the list of things the fairy can automatically use for you.
Which ones?
It's the Event Cold Dark Beer, Event Song Peon Songkran, and Event Perfumed Water Songkran,
Okay, so for those specific ones, you'll need to click them yourself.
which thankfully is now much easier because of that not in waiting stance change we just talked about.
Ah, good point. It all connects. All right, let's shift gears dramatically now. This next topic affects a huge number of players. World bosses. The sources say there's a significant overhaul.
Yeah, this is probably one of the biggest shakeups in the whole patch. The main goal seems to be injecting more excitement and, frankly, better rewards into fighting world bosses.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the core change?
It's mostly focused on the stronger versions of the main bosses. We're
Mm.
talking Gazarka, Nuver, Karanda, and Khatum.
The ones that are already harder and rarer. What's happening with them?
Their spawn rate is being drastically decreased, like really significantly. The notes mention around an 80% reduction for most of them, maybe closer to 72% for Nuver.
80%. Wow. Okay, so seeing one of those super strong versions is going to be a much rarer event.
Exactly. Much less common.
That kind of sounds like you'll just get fewer chances at their good loot overall, though. But I assume there's a catch.
That's the key, yeah.
Okay.
It's a balance. Because they're so much rarer now, the rewards you get for actually defeating one of these strong versions have been massively increased. So the payoff, when one does finally spawn, could be much, much higher. It creates that bigger sense of anticipation, more excitement when it actually happens.
Gotcha. Less frequent, but potentially a much bigger jackpot when they do show up. Makes sense. But what about the normal versions, the ones we see all the time? Are they still worth doing?
That's crucial. And yes, they've also improved the rewards from the normal versions of Kazarka, Nuver, Karanda, and Khatum.
Oh, good. How so?
Their loot tables have been adjusted, so the value's closer to what the old rewards from the strong bosses used to be.
Ah. So even the regular bosses are now giving loot. That's more like what the strong ones used to give.
Pretty much, yeah. It ensures that hitting the regular world bosses still feels valuable and worthwhile, even if you don't luck out and get that rare strong spawn.
That actually sounds like a really smart way to handle it. High stakes for the rare ones, but still solid value from the everyday bosses.
Okay. Did they also mention buffs for some of the other bosses? Maybe ones that haven't been as popular lately?
They did. Bosses like Garmoth, Maraka, and Offen are getting some love to make them more appealing targets.
Okay, what kind of boosts are they seeing?
Well, for Garmoth and Maraka, they've added Valk's Advice, plus 80, to their loot tables.
Plus 80, that's a big one.
Huh?
Vox advice is always needed for enhancing.
Definitely valuable. For Offen, the drop rate for the 1000 G gold bar, that's 1 billion silver right there, has gone up by 2.5 times
Wow.
for players who rank in the top 60 for damage. Okay, so hitting Offen hard could be seriously profitable now.
And Garmoth and Maraka are also seeing increased guaranteed drops of certain items, like chilling crystals and 100G gold bars based on your damage rank percentage.
Nice. So definitely more incentive to go after those bosses now, especially if you need enhancement materials or just raw silver. And wasn't there a key new reward item tied into this whole boss revamp?
Yes, a really significant one. It's called the Precious Treasure of an Unknown Adventurer.
Precious treasure. Okay. Sounds better than the old one.
It is. This is a new, higher value treasure chest. It replaces the old Treasure of Unknown Adventurer that used to drop from some strong bosses, and it also now drops from Garmos, Maraka, and Often based on your damage rank.
All right, so this precious treasure, what makes it so, well, precious? What's inside?
This is where things get really interesting for gear progression. When you open one of these precious treasures, you have a guaranteed chance to get either a TRI, that's 3, or a TET accessory,
Whoa, wait, a guaranteed TRI or TET accessory straight from a boss drop?
or a 1000G gold bar, so it's always one or the other.
That's a massive change. Getting a guaranteed TRI or TET accessory like that could skip potentially months of painful enhancing or saving up billions on the market. That's huge for endgame players.
It's a game changer for accessory progression, potentially.
What kind of accessories are we talking about? Are they good ones?
Oh yeah, the source lists examples like the Dreamy Earring, Awakened Moon Necklace, Foggy Sea Ring, various Tungrad accessories like earrings, necklace, belt, Ogre Ring, Leighton's Power Stone, Kadri Guardian's Ring, a whole bunch more. It's a list packed with highly desirable endgame stuff.
Wow. Okay. That single item, that precious treasure, fundamentally changes the potential reward for hitting those specific bosses, especially those now rarer strong versions. That's incredible. The notes also get super detailed about the loot tables themselves, right?
They really break it down. For Strong Kazarka, Karanda, Nuver, and Kutum, you can literally see how the loot improved based on your damage rank, like top 1 20%, then 21 50%, 51 90%, even 91 100%.
So you can see exactly what you might get.
Yeah, they detail the increased amounts or drop rates for things like boss weapon boxes, the materials for crafting boss furniture, different levels of Offset's advice now, including plus 40 up to plus 100, chilling crystals, boss aura fragments, hunter seals, and both the 1000G and 100G gold bars. It's all laid out.
Okay, so if you're a serious boss hunter, you'll want to dive into those specific tables in the patch notes to see exactly how your potential payout has changed based on your damage output.
Definitely worth a look.
Did they remove anything from the strong boss loot tables while they were adding all this good stuff?
Yeah, they cleaned house a bit, removed some of the lower value items like Vox's Vice plus 30 and plus 50 are gone since they added or boosted the plus 80 and plus 100.
Makes sense.
The old Treasure of Unknown Adventurer is obviously gone, replaced by the precious one. The Reblath weapon bundle is out, and those really low value 1G and 10G gold bars were removed too.
Good. Streamlining it to focus on the better rewards. Now, with all these loot buffs, did the bosses actually get tougher to compensate?
They did, yeah. The normal and the strong versions of Kazarka, Nuver, Karanda, and Kutum all got significant increases to their defense stats.
Oh, really? How significant?
Pretty hefty. For example, the normal versions of Kazarka and Karanda, 100% more defense.
Doubled.
Yep, their strong versions got a 15% increase. Normal Nuver's defense is up 40%, strong Nuver 38%. Normal Kutum 80% up, strong Kutum 18% up.
Wow. So they're going to be much tankier, especially those normal versions. Fights might take longer, maybe require more coordination or resources.
That's likely the idea, yeah. Make the encounter itself a bit more substantial.
Okay.
They also added a note that magical and ranged damage application when you hit these bosses is now equalized.
What does that mean exactly?
It means basically that different combat styles, melee, magic, ranged, should contribute more evenly to taking the boss down. One damage type shouldn't be significantly better or worse than the others against these specific bosses anymore.
Ah, interesting. So maybe shaking up the best classes or strategies for those fights a little bit. Okay, let's switch gears again. Another major area of progression, grinding spots. The notes mentioned big boosts to some early game areas.
Yeah, this looks like a really deliberate move. Seems like they want to make more areas viable for leveling up, maybe steer players away from spots that got super crowded, like Trader's Grave perhaps, or just give more options.
Which specific areas are getting buffed?
It's a decent list of mid-tier spots, mostly. Paddock's Island, Shira Ruins, Shuriken Necropolis, Basilisk Den, Crescent Shrine, Kadri Ruins, Sulphur Mine, and Gahez Bandits.
Okay, a lot of familiar names there. Are these just small XP increases, or is it more substantial?
Oh, these are not small increases. The patch notes show some massive jumps in combat XP from the monsters there.
Like how massive?
Okay, get this. Paddock's Warriors, 1.63 times the XP. Basilisk Centaur is nearly 4 times the XP 3.98x.
4 times? Seriously?
Yeah. Kadri Fighter, up 3.24x. Sulphur Mine La Hava, up 2.91x. Gahaz Bandit Assassin up 3.09x. These are huge boosts.
Wow, okay, nearly 400% increase on basilisks. That completely changes the value proposition of grinding there. That really does open up significant alternative leveling paths.
Absolutely. It suggests you might seriously want to reconsider some of these spots if you're still leveling, or even for skill points maybe. They could be incredibly efficient now compared to before.
Definitely something for players to check out. Okay, let's move on to some of the other system adjustments mentioned. Quests and knowledge.
Yeah, some helpful improvements there. They smoothed out the quest flow for some Atheraxian quests, making it easier to progress.
Yeah.
Like, you can move forward with one quest and fight Elezra just through chat options after taking a certain weekly quest now.
Less running around, probably.
Seems like it. Also, the time limit for that last Gariak intro quest, it got bumped up significantly to 50 minutes. Gives players more breathing room.
Good, that one could feel a bit rushed.
And they fixed an issue where knowledge for certain guild bosses wasn't being handed out correctly.
Making sure you get credit for the kill. Helpful tweets to avoid frustration. What about node and Conquest War stuff?
Some improvements to the controls and abilities for the Dark Contracts summons the Ogre and the Troll, making their attacks land better, increasing the Troll's speed, adding dash attacks, stuff like that.
Okay, making them more effective.
But the key strategic change here is that you can now summon the Dark Contract Ogre and Troll during the defense phase of Conquest War. That wasn't possible before.
Oh. That definitely adds a new tool and potential strategy for defending guilds during sieges. Interesting. Any minor aesthetic or background fixes noted?
Just a couple of small cleanup things. A tiny NPC name fix, Bazeller instead of Baziller. Better visual and sound effects for Yaz, that NPC in the Atheraxian questline. And the NPC search function now works correctly for Cadio out at Okulazai.
All right, just tidying up little details. How about UI Polish? User interface improvements are always welcome.
Yeah, a key one here is for the combined storage UI. If you use that a lot to manage storage across different towns.
Which is super useful, yeah.
They've added filtering and sorting options specifically for event emblems within that UI. You can sort by how many you have, or filter to only show emblems you actually own. You can even use both together.
Oh, thank goodness. Trying to find specific emblems in that combined list could be a real pain. That's a great addition. Any other UI notes?
They've added more tooltips and explanations around the place, little pop-up info boxes. Stuff like more details on ship stats in the ship menu, better info on Dream Horse skills like Danae's breath ability, clearer text on how to move and lock chat windows, more details in the Pearl shop.
Just making things clearer.
Exactly. Oh, and they changed the button text for the boss notification settings. It used to say set, which was a bit vague. Now it clearly says save.
Much better.
And in your quest log, the O menu, the Eternal Winter Daily quests will now sort with the highest level ones at the top.
Okay, small organizational tweak. All sounds like good usability improvements. What about web and launcher updates? Anything there?
Pretty standard stuff. Fixed issues with the cookie banner sometimes popping up weirdly on the login screen. On the website, they merged the package history menu into the main purchase usage history page, just simplifying the menus.
Okay.
Improved tooltips for the social media links at the bottom of the site. And they mentioned updates to payment functions, but said those were detailed in separate announcements.
Right, standard back-end maintenance and website tweaks. Good to see. Okay, let's wrap up with the adjustments and fixes the bug squashing section that hopefully smooths out the experience.
Yeah, the sources list quite a few fixes. Some that caught my eye included fixing the guild coloring UI not opening if you didn't have the right permissions.
Annoying if that happened.
Correcting issues where players got the wrong titles, like Heir to Dacia or Fortress Heir, from story quests instead of the intended weekly task quests. Resolving display bugs with the transport status UI and how retrieved contribution points were shown.
Little visual things that could be confusing. What about item or inventory related fixes?
Yep, fixed an issue where item lock settings in the costume bag could sometimes reset under specific conditions. Also fixed bugs where certain items like Kron Castle coin and Loyal Stone statue weren't actually dropping from the monsters they were supposed to. Now they should drop correctly.
Good, make sure the loot tables are accurate. Any other notable fixes?
Let's see. Chat window spacing issues when using the Athkessia mention are fixed. Several problems where NPCs could disappear during quests, blocking progress, especially in Atheraxian and Mulvake, those are resolved.
Oh, good. Those are frustrating.
Fix some awkward camera angles when talking to stable keepers on Ilia Island. Small thing, but nice. And issues downloading certain replay files for Solar's gate matches were fixed too.
And I saw a long list of visual and graphic fixes for characters, right? Outfits and stuff.
Absolutely. The notes detail a whole bunch of fixes for specific outfits, undergarments, or eyewear clipping or looking weird on various classes. Ranger, Tamer, Dusa, general female classes, Hasashin, Sage, often tied to specific graphic settings. So hopefully characters look right more consistently now.
Always good to make sure your fashion looks correct. Any fixes specifically for people using joystick mode?
Yes, dedicated fixes there too. Address problems with the joystick mode UI itself, issues with the ship UI in that mode, and errors when using the combined storage favorites function and trying to move items.
Nice to see controller support getting specific attention. Okay, and one final, very specific note for Rose War participants.
Right. If you were in Rose War on the Odraxia server, and you log back in after maintenance, while your character happens to be in the Kamisylvia camp location, you'll now be automatically teleported to Grana. And if you were in the Eudraxia camp area, you'll be teleported there instead. Just ensures participants start in the right main city after the patch.
Gotcha. Making sure everyone lands where they need to be post-update.
Yeah, that pretty much covers the sweep of the changes detailed in the patch notes source.
Wow. Okay, that really is a comprehensive update then. We went from daily login events and new permanent utility items all the way to huge overhauls of core systems like the world bosses and those early to mid-game grinding spots. This patch touches so many different parts of the game.
It really does. And our goal here, was to cut through all that dense text in the notes and really pull out the changes that are most likely to actually affect how you play. Where you might grind now, how you prepare for bosses, what rewards you can realistically aim for, even just how you use the UI day to day.
Exactly. These aren't just abstract changes. They could really shift how you approach your time in Black Desert. I mean, those huge XP boosts in places like basilisks or guhas, combined with the whole world boss reward shuffle, especially that precious treasure, dropping guaranteed high-tier accessories.
Yeah, that's huge.
It really seems designed to offer players maybe more varied and potentially faster paths to getting significantly geared up earlier on, while also making that endgame boss chase feel a bit different, maybe more exciting when those super rare strong bosses actually appear.
It definitely reshapes the landscape a bit.
Yeah.
Which leads us to a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on.
Yeah.
With these pretty major adjustments to both the early mid-game leveling paths and the end-game reward structure from bosses, what does this update really mean for the overall long-term journey in Black Desert? How might these changes start reshaping the community's go-to leveling guides, their farming strategies, maybe even their ultimate goals moving forward in the game?